I'm going to be ranking every Five Nights at Freddy's game theory that MatPat has ever and will ever make now that he is retired. That is 22 hours of theorizing that I am going to have to sit through to make this video. What are you expecting some insane YouTuber reaction? Some quip about how you guys are making me do this? Nah, this is cake to me. I am an iPad baby level YouTube consumer, okay? This is gonna probably be my 11th or 12th rewatch of all of these videos, except for like the last 5. I'm going to be rating these theories based on how accurate they are, how iconic they are, and how entertaining they are. All out of 10, so each video has a possible score of 30. Thanks, Technovision. Five Nights at Freddy's is to MatPat what the boulder is to Sisyphus. In all religions, man is freed from the weight of their own life, but not the life of Freddy Fazbear. In MatPat's never-ending pursuit to solve the story of Five Nights at Freddy's, one must imagine Matthew Patrick happy. Let us begin.
Hello once again, theorists. Welcome to MatPat Plays. Today we are playing the scariest game of all creation.
The first FNAF theory that most of us watched was probably this one. In this theory, MatPat claims that FNAF 1 was based on a real series of murders that just don't sit right with me. Committed at a Chuck E. Cheese back in '93.
Small caliber handgun, and proceeded to execute everyone in the building. I think the game is an allegory for that night back in 1993. This story is the one that inspired Five Nights at Freddy's.
And you play as the murderer experiencing nightmares of that day. This is the most insane wacko conspiracy ever. The accuracy of this theory has not even been a conversation since the second FNAF theory, other than predicting the date that it happened based on the pay at the end of the week.
Between 1991 and 1996.
But it sort of came true at the time of Ultimate Custom Night, where you do play as a murderer, reliving endless nightmares. Accuracy 3 out of 10. This is the first and most viewed FNAF theory ever. Whenever something important happens in the timeline, you go back and you leave a comment on this one. Who's here in 2024? Iconicity 9 out of 10. Am I really gonna have to say that 68 times? What a horrible word. The Let's Player bit at the beginning drags on too long. The topic in question being an actual tragedy that you're not really supposed to joke about. It gets hard to sit through. Entertainment 3 out of 10. When you really want to binge FNAF theories, this is one you could skip. But I don't think you should. I think it's a fantastic starting point because it's so far off base. FNAF 1 was just some game, while FNAF 2 was where the lore actually started building. There are tons of things that MatPat covers in this one, such as the fact that FNAF 2 is actually a prequel to the first game, both based on the fact that certain lines of dialogue indicate that it is, the rate of pay is lower, indicating a lower minimum wage, and the fact that Phone Guy is alive. The production quality is really good. A massive upgrade from the first theory, and what was it, just 3 months later? Phone Guy is Purple Guy. He's holding an object that is oblong, kind of like a phone.
It's not like any gun or knife I've seen. No, that to me is very clearly a phone.
A guy holding a phone. He says Foxy is his favorite. And who do we see in the same room as Foxy? The Purple Man. Phone Guy is the Purple Guy. This is our first FNAF timeline. Look at how cute and straightforward she is. I hope she isn't the next victim of inflation. This theory is surprisingly accurate for the time. It is one of the all-time greats, with Scott even making that post saying that he almost got it all correct. How much better can you get than the creator of the game saying you got it mostly all correct? Accuracy 9 out of 10. One of the most iconic theories ever made. This is the one people remember. Iconicity 9 out of 10. And this one is less serious and more fun than basing a theory on an actual tragedy. Entertainment 6 out of 10. This has to be my favorite period of these games. I felt like I was Stephen Hawking solving the theory of everything. Whenever I was watching Markiplier put the numbers into the tiles on the wall.
Oh look, here's a wall. Let me just dial in my phone number. Beep boop boop beep boop boop.
Or when you had to jump outside of the minigames to find the secret minigames where you give cake to the kids to help them find their happiest day. What a time to be a YouTube baby. I was sitting in the corner stealing my neighbor's Wi-Fi watching this stuff go down. This theory is fantastic. fantastic. MatPat theorizes that an employee was killed in Golden Freddy, and the first victim haunts the puppet still.
First child now exists in the puppet.
The focus on Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy was really weird, because those characters really have no significance after this theory. They faded into the ether, that is FNAF. He also comes to the conclusion that Purple Guy is not the phone guy. He's not holding a phone, he is holding a multi-tool. Sorry about that. MatPat is an idiot, because it is so obvious that the Purple Guy was killing those children to collect Metal Soul Remnant in an attempt to live forever. Scoff. Call me Scoff, Cawthon. Also, this is the first two-parter. I don't even know how accurate this theory is. I don't think William Afton had an arc where he went to jail and escaped. Accuracy 7 out of 10. This is prime classic FNAF. Everyone's going on the same ride at the same time. Nobody was missing this theory. Iconicity, 10 out of 10. Very entertaining, entertainment, 8 out of 10. FNAF 3 Part 2 first half. We are finally here. The first half of the second part of the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 theory. I have been waiting for this, man. Honestly, I cannot imagine Game Theory having a copyright strike on any of their videos today. So it is very humbling to see that back in the day they were struggling with that and had to cut this video into 2 parts because YouTube wouldn't let them upload a video longer than 10 minutes. The Foxy Go 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 minigame is the first missing children's incident. The FNAF 1 location is the same location as the one from before FNAF 2 reopened. I don't understand why we need evidence that the killer uses the Golden Bonnie suit when he is in the Golden Bonnie suit in the game. It is kind of obvious. MatPat takes a trick out of FNAF John's playbook here with a need more proof?
Tapes meant for the night security guard from months ago. Need more proof?
Game Theory used to have such 80s baby humor, with visual puns all over the place.
After spending, I kid you not. Confusing? You betcha. Game changing? Absolutely.
Every time he says not, a knot shows up on screen. He references old video games all the time. Stuff that Game Theory would never do today because the audience is young, and nobody would get it at all. Imagine a Dig Dug reference in a video about Piggy on Roblox. This is the safe half of FNAF 3. Things that we can mostly agree on. For that, it gets an accuracy 8 out of 10. But this is a very forgettable theory because of how safe it plays it. Mostly because it is the first half of a larger whole. So, iconicity 4 out of 10 and entertainment 5 out of 10. Yeah, we wish, MatPat. Purple Guy is the phone guy. Stay with me. Have you ever seen Phone Guy and Purple Guy in the same room together at the same time? They both know about the safe rooms.
The only person in the game who knows about the safe rooms.
So they have to be the same person, and clearly he's holding a phone-shaped object in his hand. This theory sets out to tackle who the Purple Guy is and to finish off this hefty-looking timeline. It's getting thick. I love this theory because it involves one of the greatest reveals in all of Game Theory, and that is the rain causing the spring locks to moisten up and snap, crumpling up and killing Purple Man.
There's one key detail that everyone has been overlooking and that Scott carefully included in this game. Listen. Hear it? There's rain. There are puddles on the ground. It's dripping from the ceiling. The killer had been using these spring-lock suits safely for years, but in his panic to escape the ghosts, he failed to notice the wetness of the building around him.
Well, not kill, because he always comes back. I was 12. And I was jumping out of my seat when I heard those pitter-patter sounds. The timeline has officially jumped into 2 alternate timelines, which is exhausting. I'm glad that canon endings at least exist in these games. MatPat theorizes that FNAF 1 is the result of the bad ending of FNAF 3, where the animatronics are still haunted and, by the way, Mike Schmidt is a meaningless protagonist. This video came out 8 years ago in the Super Amazing End Card Tournament. Which I can't participate in anymore, thanks YouTube. The question is, am I excited for the FNAF movie?
Are you excited about a Five Nights at Freddy's movie?
Well, 8 years later, I can finally say that the FNAF movie was pretty good. Other than the multiple timeline stuff and the fact that Purple Guy is not the phone guy, this theory has a few bangers, accuracy 7 out of 10. That feeling that I had when I was 12 taking this journey has yet to be beat. I never forgot about the raindrops loosening the spring locks. Iconicity 10 out of 10. The production of this video is fantastic. MatPat sending us on a whole Dora the Explorer, what is that sound? Puzzle for the raindrops, but instead of like it being a deer or something, it's the reason for the death of a man. Entertainment 10 out of 10. I had a blast. FNAF 4, the science one. This theory doesn't have lore. Next. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll give it a shot. FNAF 4's first theory is proving that the crying child wouldn't be scared of the animatronics because getting a lobotomy makes people fearless. MatPat claims that getting a lobotomy makes people fearless, gets rid of anxiety, and makes you super chill in general.
A kid with those sorts of injuries wouldn't care about those things in the first place. He would have no fear, and there would be no animatronics, real or imaginary, that would be able to keep him up at night.
I just scheduled my appointment. MatPat claims that the crying child is the bite victim of 87.
Actually shows the bite of 87 take place.
But as we all know, FNAF 4 takes place in 1983. So taking a few points off, you're wrong. Accuracy 6 out of 10. This is another one of the videos that you can skip when you're doing a marathon of these theories. Not really pertinent towards anything. Iconicity 1 out of 10. Still a well-made video with a nice history lesson, but I prefer Sam O'Nella's version personally. Entertainment 5 out of 10.
Hex code for purple backwards.
FNAF 4 will never end. What's in the box? How many answers to this question are there? Like 8? This theory is the first crack at what is in the box. It's really two theories in one, with one being the assumption that Crying Child is Golden Freddy, and one being based on the Crying Child being the puppet. I can see how the evidence works both ways, but today we have conclusive evidence that Henry Emily's daughter is the puppet, both people of which we had no idea existed back then, and the Crying Child is Golden Freddy, along with like someone else probably. This theory also comes to the conclusion that we are in 1983 and not 1987. We also have the fact that psychic friend Fredbear is talking to the Crying Child while he is dying instead of Willie, which is not true. Not a fan of the fence sitting, MatPat. Accuracy 4 out of 10. This one introduces a lot of the building blocks that the FNAF community has been playing with since FNAF 4. Iconicity 6 out of 10. It was a nice video, and the ending, restating the thesis that the pieces will never fit perfectly together, was great. Entertainment 6 out of 10. FNAF 4 Dream Theory.
Today, we end the horror. Today, we solve FNAF.
No, we aren't. Sit down for a second, this one is serious. This is the theory that comes after the big FNAF live stream that MatPat did, the one where Scott talked to him through the website while he was live. This is the Dream Theory video. FNAF fans today know Scott's intentions were to wrap up the fourth game in a Dream Theory. The evidence is all there, in these 2 pixels.
When we looked, sure enough, there it was. A few orange pixels laying on the ground.
I hate the Dream Theory just like the rest of everybody, but I think this theory is the most true theory that there was at the time, and it is a satisfying romp through the evidence. This is the greatest theory that has ever been made with the most supporting evidence. I hate Dream Theory, it is a cop-out on Scott's part, no doubt, but MatPat cracked the codes here. I mean, it was intended. Accuracy 10 out of 10. The lore drops on Scott's website. What is seen in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. Why is Toy Chica missing her beak? Iconicity 10 out of 10. I didn't even need to look those quotes up. I just knew them. That justifies the 10 out of 10 to me. Entertainment 7 out of 10. A little disappointing to be a Dream Theory conclusion, but that is acknowledged in theory. FNAF 4 games, one story. Screw Dream Theory. All my homies hate Dream Theory. Let's solve this for real this time. MatPat takes another crack at an ultimate timeline here. What are we at? Like 3 attempts so far? This is a very solid timeline with the information we had back then. We still have no idea that William Afton was the one talking to the Crying Child as they were dying, but we didn't know the purple guy was his father or that his name was William either. MatPat spent like 8 months theorizing if Golden Freddy was possessed by the Crying Child or the first victim of William Afton, but little does he know it is actually a secret third option that is impossible to guess at this point. Cassidy.
It's time to get their revenge on Purple Guy at last. Phone Guy gets killed, and as we see in the final news article on the wall, no one comes to the restaurant because of its dark, tragic history, with the franchise closing at the end of the year. Sometime after, Purple Guy returns to the building, dismantles the suit.
You web me up in your strings of deceit, Matthew. Your reckless accusations are a spear in the heart. Is the Phone Guy the Purple Guy, or is he not? I'm sick of these games. He called that Purple Guy returns to the FNAF 1 location after it closes, which is nice, but there is no motivation for him coming back because Remnant doesn't exist yet, as well as no motivation for whoever we play as in these games to attempt to destroy Afton or save these kids. Accuracy 9 out of 10. This being the first Ultimate Timeline makes for an unforgettable video. This is like era 2 of FNAF with the 4 games, 1 story nonsense. This one is the bedrock for all the theories after it for a long time. Iconicity 8 out of 10. I like the simplicity of the timeline though, and I feel like the story beats are mostly correct, as well as the storytelling of this theory. It was always one of my favorites. Entertainment 9 out of 10.
It's been half a year, so let's do this.
FNAF Sister Location Decoded Predictions. FNAF Sister Location Decoded Predictions. FNAF Sister Location Decoded Predictions. The in-between periods of FNAF games are more extensive from this point on. The first 4 games came out within a year, with FNAF 1 releasing in August of 2014 when I was 11. Jesus Christ. And FNAF 4 releasing in July of 2015. Scott used to make these games as fast as some people make YouTube videos. We were being well fed back then. Oh my God. FNAF Sister Location Decoded Predictions theory is a theory about speculating what Sister Location was going to be about before it came out. The game's been out for 8 years now, so let's see what Matt got right. Ennard is the puppet. Okay, that's just wrong. He is right about Sister Location being a place where the animatronics are experimented on, but not about it being a place where Afton is experimenting on the animatronics. Ugh. The books are starting to get introduced into these theories. Purple Guy's identity is uncovered, and his name is revealed to be William Afton for the first time in FNAF lore.
Here's the bigger twist. By the end of the book, it's revealed that William Afton is what we fans of the game would know as the Purple Guy. Yeah, in the book, Purple Guy is revealed.
It is funny that his most confident theory ends up being the one that is completely wrong and off base, while his crazy, outlandish Sister Location Taken Literally theory is the truer one. Accuracy 3 out of 10. This theory is not the most iconic of the bunch, but it is where 90% of the fan base learned that Purple Guy's real name is William Afton, which counts for something. Iconicity 6 out of 10. Not much to say in the way of entertainment, it was bog standard. Entertainment 4 out of 10. The FNAF movie is never coming out. FNAF Exotic Butters Margarine Mix. So this is on the official FNAF Game Theory playlist for some reason. The meme aged like milk. All zeros. All zeros. Accuracy 0 out of 10. Iconicity 0 out of 10. Entertainment 0 out of 10. But Game Theory Sister Location Follow the Eyes. This episode is all about how William Afton is the playable character in Sister Location, which is not true. MatPat uses some evidence for this finding, but it leads to the wrong conclusion. And the comic book negates the fact that Afton said he was one with the animatronics. He was making a metaphor. Not much goes on, and it is kind of infuriating to listen to someone rave on about something that has been proven to be false. Accuracy 1 out of 10, Iconicity 2 out of 10, and Entertainment 3 out of 10. FNAF Sister Location The Killer's Promise. Based on the teaser from the last episode, I bet these next few theories are going to be some real stinkers. MatPat theorizes that Sister Location is positioned under the FNAF 4 house, which is correct. He also comes to the conclusion that the Sister Location animatronics were made to experiment on putting souls into animatronic bodies, which has the massive reveal that there is a child inside Funtime Freddy's blueprint.
Frames, and you see that the storage tank isn't quite empty. Yeah, that's a child in there, curled up, hidden in Fredbear's stomach.
Very classic. We are one step away from Remnant, people. But he is still convinced that Purple Guy is the player, which, how can the guy who built this whole place be tricked into going into the scooping room? And would even need the scooping room explained to them? I never understood how you can come to that conclusion. Accuracy 5 out of 10. Most of the humor is gone from these episodes. I know MatPat fidgeting in the corner for 3 minutes at the start of a theory is bad for retention, but I love MatPat fidgeting in the corner. The story and the details are too complex for us to stop and smell the roses, to stop and contemplate some FNAF fetish content for a few seconds before getting back into it. Entertainment 3 out of 10. The blueprint of Funtime Freddy with a child lodged inside of him is one of the best reveals in gaming. The Ennard boss fight having the map of FNAF 4 locked behind the date of FNAF 4 is iconic as well.
Date 1983 into the keypad besides the monitors, the static blazes to life, revealing blurry footage of the FNAF 4 house.
Iconicity, 6 out of 10. Sister location was the turning point from horror to science fiction. With the jump, I feel like we're holding on to a lot of things that we need to let go of. FNAF, we were wrong about the bite. 6 years ago was when the FNAF movie went from Warner Brothers to Blumhouse. Break out your pixel measurement rulers, and have your images of everyday objects that just so happen to be named the same as commonly used words in the English language ready to throw up at a moment's notice, because we are back to some classic science game theory. This episode is about whether an animatronic could actually break through the skull of the human. This theory is honestly a breath of fresh air in the sea of all these lore-packed sister location episodes.
Human skull bone, when put under various kinds of stress, had a failure pressure of 1900 psi or 13 megapascal.
I mean, there's not much FNAF lore theorizing happening here, so I guess accuracy 6 out of 10. And I forgot that this even existed, so I mean, it's hardly memorable. Iconicity 2 out of 10. I know it's a tough thing to say that this is a breath of fresh air this early in the game. I mean, we still got a whole mountain to climb here, but it was a breath of fresh air. Entertainment 7 out of 10. The answer was right in front of our sister location. I am Springtrap, I am Springtrap, I am Springtrap. This is a book theory and it is boring. The only interesting discovery made here is that sound illusion discs are a thing. I've been waiting for that reveal, but I forget that it happened in such a dry theory. And it has been retconned into hallucination gas. Like, what is the point anymore? Accuracy 3 out of 10, I guess, since it's now wrong, but it was on the money back in the day. You have no idea what Prime Sound Illusion Disc was like. Iconicity 5 out of 10 for the phrase Sound Illusion Disc only, so. And entertainment, 2 out of 10. I like it better than the FNAF 1 theory. FNAF The Final Theory Part 1. MatPat throws everything out the window and starts from scratch on this one. FNAF has gotten so big at this point that it is understandably unreasonable to deep dive into height measurements, feet size, as much as we love that, or counting buttons to prove that events happen at certain times. We have our second edition of the timeline, and this one's gonna be a grown strapping man, little hair on his chest. He places sister location close to the beginning of the timeline. Well, the minigames are. Not the gameplay, which was a risky move back in the day, but it's accepted now. The first event in the timeline is the death of the crying child or puppet. Accuracy 6 out of 10. This theory and the next one are like theory checkpoints, bringing everyone up to speed on what's been happening so you don't have to piece it together yourself from the last 5 theory videos. It gives it some points. Iconicity 6 out of 10. The style for this timeline is very much true crime inspired, which doesn't rub me very well. I prefer the old, more comedic style of editing, but it's done very well. Entertainment 5 out of 10. It is tough to come up with decent conclusions and thoughts on what seems like half a theory, which is why I'm going to talk about the next half, FNAF Final Theory Part 2. There have been so many moments in this franchise where things seem concretely solved, but people keep talking and talking about them until the problems unsolve themselves, and everyone gets confused again. A debate of whether Michael Afton or William Afton was the one that got springtrapped was not something that I thought needed to be debated, nor did I think whether FNAF 4 was set in 1983 or 1987 need to be debated. And there is even mention of Purple Guy being Phone Guy again. It gets exhausting drudging up old conclusions and tearing them apart, so I don't do it. That's why I watch other people do it for me. Michael Afton takes a significant role in this theory, being the protagonist of the first 3 games.
Odor. It was the first game in the series, so we all thought it was a funny joke, but now we know better. Scott doesn't do jokes. Not only does the name Mike match, but a rotting flesh sack with no innards would definitely be pretty smelly.
Getting fired every time for tampering with the animatronics because he is trying to set the children free from their robotic prisons. Accuracy 8 out of 10. As iconic as the theory before it, so same score. Iconicity 6 out of 10. MatPat tells a satisfying story with these games, and I was left hearty and full to the brim with FNAF knowledge. Entertainment 9 out of 10. Also, MatPat speculating that Scott's talks about paragraph 4 being a reference to the script of the last theory is so funny.
Scott on Scott Games keeps saying, what is paragraph 4? Well, paragraph 4 could be relating to a lot of things, but the one thing that jumps out at me is that as soon as my episode went up, this teaser came out. Paragraph 4 of my episode last week happened to be about William Afton's first murders.
And is completely prolapsed. It's such a stretch. Anyway, my ranking of this theory is pretty darn high. I think it's one of the greats. The most satisfying wrap up to this story yet. The part 2s always get higher ratings because, I mean, they're just more conclusive. Sue me. I like climaxes. Episode 18, FNAF Pizzeria Simulator. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator has been released, and this theory is MatPat summarizing all the little findings that have been made. We are looking at all the trees instead of the forest here. Henry is the business partner of William Afton, and the guy on the cassette in the ending. Lefty is carrying the puppet inside of his body, and the puppet is Henry's daughter. Ennard has split into two beings, Ennard and Scrap Baby. Speaking of which, MatPat makes a point that Baby now has a claw and roller skates.
Baby, meanwhile, becomes Scrap Baby, complete with a lobster claw and roller skates because Scott was like, wee, it's my final game. I can make the designs whatever the hell I want to.
I don't know much about the skates, but I just now put together in my head that she repurposed her stomach claw into an arm. How have I not heard anyone put those pieces together? That is some good character design. Like that makes Scrap Baby so much more sick. I was always wondering why it was a claw, but that is her stomach claw. That's awesome.
Think of a better term, soul energy, what Afton calls remnant.
Here we go. It's remnant, we've done it. William Afton is experimenting with soul juice to make living animatronics. This is how all the animatronics got possessed. Well, really, now we are getting to the crux of this series, the Midnight Motorist minigame. From what I remember, we are going to be spending a lot of time mulling over and speculating about what this thing's all about. This is the William Afton household that we see in FNAF 4, supposedly.
Mike casual bongos Afton himself binging on his Immortal and the Restless.
But I do not get why Michael Afton would be so mean to his brother in FNAF 4 and be so protective of him now. It seems like an inconsistent character identity. A lot of really good pieces of lore get tossed around here and are mostly put together satisfyingly. What a word. Accuracy 7 out of 10. FNAF 6 is my favorite out of the games, so I am stoked to finally be in this era of FNAF. Midnight Motorist try not to be an indescribably esoteric icon challenge impossible. Iconicity 8 out of 10. And entertainment 8 out of 10. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. FNAF 6 box solved. The FNAF 4 box is literally a Schrodinger's paradox. It has always been the answers to the game's story, but it'll never be open so Scott can change the answers whenever he likes. It's like changing the word you picked in Hangman whenever your opponent's first guess gives it completely away. MatPat solves the box like 3 times in this theory. I think it is kind of pointless because it's like you solve the story and then you know what's in the box and not using what's in the box to solve the story. This theory has some interesting evidence though. It's better than the other meta theory about how FNAF is unsolvable. Accuracy 3 out of 10, iconicity 3 out of 10, entertainment 4 out of 10.
Being filled with glad.
The FNAF survival logbook has stumped Matthew Patrick, and this theory is a call for help. We go behind the scenes to see the journey he has taken in trying to solve this thing, plugging in so many numbers and codes into the word searches of the book, all in an attempt to find the name of the kid inside Golden Freddy. Not much I can say in terms of accuracy, iconicness, and entertainment. It was a good video, but it wasn't trying to be a theory. Accuracy 2 out of 10, iconicity 2 out of 10, entertainment 7 out of 10. Episode 21 FNAF theory that changed everything. This is a compact theory, and when I am so locked into the story up to this point, it is really hard for me to recontextualize everything I think I know, based on a couple of books. The FNAF survival logbook makes a return here just as confusing as ever. It is confirmed that the logbook is Mike's. Mike from Sister Location is the same character as Mike from the logbook. Crazy revelation, I know. And Michael Afton is the FNAF 4 protagonist.
It's really the story of Michael Afton specifically. It's the story of the crying child growing up, discovering the atrocities of his father, and then trying to make amends for those.
Despite there being hospital sounds and IVs next to his bed and stuff posted everywhere. Where this loses me is when he starts talking about Mike being the crying child. What are we doing? It's so obviously not the case, and I can't even put myself in that headspace. We also lay the groundwork for Midnight Motorist. The minigame is set directly after the death of Henry Emily's daughter, and is why the puppet gets possessed. Random color change, I guess William Afton is in his orange era, because this is him. Midnight Motorist conclusions are fantastic and in my opinion mostly correct. As right as you can be about this anyway. But the big revelation of this theory falls flat. Mike being the crying child. So, accuracy 6 out of 10. Most of the big moments in this theory are trudged over again, or wrong and corrected very soon after this. Skippable theory. Iconicity 3 out of 10. Well-made video as always, and the journey was very good. Entertainment 7 out of 10.
Dear Diary, yesterday was so amazing. I met such a wonderful guy.
Ultimate Custom Night goes so hard. My favorite stories are revenge until the bitter end. God of War, The Boys, so good. And this game is that. It's also the one where all the jump scares are shaking P&Gs. Even though it is fairly obvious and one of the very, very few things that we can actually wrap up and finish speculating about, MatPat lays out all the evidence on why Ultimate Custom Night is William Afton's eternal purgatory, brought on by Golden Freddy, and he does so in a very satisfying way, by finding the voice of the whispering child in the background of some of the more cryptic voice lines that you get when you die, finding that voice actor from Scott Cawthon's job listings for the game. Great moment. Golden Freddy, or the one you should not have killed, also isn't the crying child, and he's just some kid. Correct stuff is correct. Accuracy 8 out of 10. Not a lot of iconic moments in this theory, but the thumbnail frankly slaps. It's the best FNAF theory thumbnail. Iconicity 6 out of 10. I'm not sure if I'm just drowsy or I finally let my guard down enough for my inner child to flourish, but I really loved watching this theory and I laughed at most of the jokes. Entertainment 9 out of 10. All of the classic FNAF games are out. We're done until Scott decides to redraw the cards. The next theory is supposed to be a final crack at the timeline, which I am excited for. Ultimate Custom Night Part 2 Final Timeline. We are a third of the way into this playlist, and we've gotten no less than 4 final timelines. Jesus Christ. Every time I look over at the playlist I'm watching this all from, I wince at the fact that I have covered so much and still have gotten through so little. But this is my favorite timeline, and I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I like the more specific and objective storytelling rather than the storybook-esque telling of the events that'll start popping up later. I also enjoy how overlapping details are handled here. More than one restaurant can be opened at the same time in a franchise. Chica Was the First is here, putting the code into the logbook word search is here, the missing children incident is the first event of the timeline, and the one where Golden Freddy was killed, and it was the FNAF 1 location, restaurant location, closing and opening confusion, Nightmare Balloon Boy being the only canon nightmare for some god-awful reason. This video has it all. Iconicity 10 out of 10. Pretty accurate timeline of events as well. All things considered and known at the time, a few hiccups, but it gets an accuracy 9 out of 10. MatPat jumping through these evidentiary loops is what I live for. The divide between explaining story details and supporting them with evidence hits that perfect balance here. Entertainment 10 out of 10. This video is 5 years old and MatPat talks about FNAF being 4 years old, and that being a long time. Man, I expect the rest of this timeline to rank just as highly as this one. Let's keep it rolling. Episode 24 FNAF This Is the End Final Timeline Part 2. There is a 4-minute merch push at the beginning of this video. What an insane amount of time. That has to be bad for retention, man. This part of the timeline covers who said the yellow text at the end of FNAF 4. It was William Afton, but sister location is thought to have occurred near the end of the timeline, so William Afton couldn't have known about the soul remnant then. MatPat theorizes that he must mean to put him together as a robot boy. Do I have amnesia or something? Because I do not remember Michael Afton being discussed as being the crying child so much in these theories. It just seems like such a useless conversation. Crying child is Michael Afton, dies in 1983, is reborn as a robot, grows as a robot, dies in sister location, but lives.
I should be dead, but I'm not.
Michael Afton goes around to all the FNAF locations, chasing his father William down, destroying every location that he gets to until he finds him and kills him in a fire, but it doesn't work. FNAF 6 happens and all the animatronics get trapped in one location and are burned to death, including William Afton, and he gets trapped in purgatory with Golden Freddy. Roll credits. MatPat is mogging me with FNAF knowledge right now.
She was locked in a box! That's insane! She was locked in a box! Who knows for how long? Days? Months? End quote. I actually know how long she was trapped in the box. It was 6 months. So anyway, is this definitive proof of—
He has been preaching the gospel of robot kids for a long, long time, and nobody in the community ever accepts it. It's just so out of nowhere and not on theme with haunted animatronic murder. Also, Michael Afton being the crying child is not something I vibe with. Accuracy 6 out of 10. The lore is still relatively simple, which is a crazy thing to say. Only being composed of a few books and 7 classic FNAF games. After this, the frequency of these games drops to a crawl, and most FNAF talk comes from the books, which is not as exciting as the games, no matter how well edited it is. And I think this is where most people fell off the track until Security Breach came around. Iconicity 5 out of 10. I still very much enjoy how evidence-backed this timeline is, though it may not be entirely accurate seeing the hoops that we jump through to come to the conclusion that sister location is a rental service, or what William William means when he says, "I will put you back together," is my favorite aspect of FNAF. Entertainment 8 out of 10. This is the end of prime classic FNAF. Say goodbye. Goodbye, classic FNAF. Alright, how do you put this thing on? Episode 25, FNAF Speculation, FNAF VR. May God murder my children if the Game Theory theme song doesn't go hard every single time.
It's unholy. FNAF is some.
MatPat in real life. Get back in your PNG. Another speculation theory as we are moving out of the era of classic FNAF and into the digital age. FNAF going into the politics of false convictions is something that I didn't know I needed. What is FNAF's take on capital punishment? Theory is that FNAF VR is going to be about being a Fazbear technician, specifically the technician from Sister Location. Not the case. Help Wanted is about discrediting independent artists. Accuracy, 3 out of 10. Very forgettable theories, these speculative ones, especially when it just turns out to be wrong. Iconicity, 2 out of 10. Deconstructing these images, though, it was a very satisfying journey. Entertainment, 7 out of 10. FNAF copyright infringement. Scott has been letting people use his characters fast and loose, and it's backfired, and he got a digital STD because one of his digital artists downloaded the Funtime Foxy with Honker's SFM model instead of the official one. This video is about copyright law, not very much about FNAF. Can I give it an accuracy score? Accuracy, D&E out of 10. Not even an iconic meta episode. One that you can skip. Iconicity, 2 out of 10. But it was a pretty nice video. Entertainment, 5 out of 10. FNAF VR Help Wanted. Finally back into actually talking about FNAF lore. This theory is about FNAF VR. It has been 1 year since the last real FNAF theory and FNAF game, which is nuts. FNAF really slowed down after the classics. This theory is about how FNAF VR is located at the end of the timeline, and Golden Freddy isn't here because he is busy torturing William Afton in Purgatory. Even though canonically this is a video game in universe, like just because Baby is here doesn't mean the soul of Baby is present in the code of the game, but whatever, it's a small thing. I think it was the intended meaning of those details, but it is baseless. The yellow rabbit is actually an AI of William Afton's consciousness. Nice call that it's an AI and not a remnant ghost, because this game is the inflection point of the series where it goes full-on artificial intelligence mode. William Afton is an AI now and escapes into reality through an unnamed beta tester of the game, who will soon be known as Vanessa. Accuracy, 8 out of 10. A recap of the tapes from FNAF VR make this one a necessary watch. It's also the first FNAF VR theory, and you always gotta watch the first theory when these games come out. Iconicity, 6 out of 10. Some very funny moments. I especially like tape 16 being a warning to not collect all 16 tapes.
That finding them and reassembling them will also reassemble the very thing I've tried so desperately to destroy.
Whoops! Probably shouldn't have hidden that info on tape 15 of 16.
Very classy, putting the warning at the end of the instructions. Entertainment, 8 out of 10. The twist of Tape Girl turning evil is so good, and I love how that is presented along with the differing order of the tapes. FNAF VR monster we missed. Welcome back to the FNAF Book Club, everyone. Did you miss it? Me neither. But let's see what's up. In the new Freddy Files, it says that the books matter and you should pay attention to them. So now we're looking at them and we're paying attention to them. Starting off so strong with Baby transforming from a husk of a clown into a hot woman using needles with balls on the end that appeared in the game like years before this book came out.
Yeah, they're in the games, aren't they? They are. Actually, if you look at Baby's design as it's presented in the games, you see exactly what this book is talking about. The needles with the little balls on the end, and yeah, even the weirdo sound illusion discs.
One of the greatest reveals in the series, I remember it so vividly back in the day. This already makes this theory crazy iconic for me at least. Yellow Man is Henry Emily. I forgot that this was the theory where this was established, and it is a very weird last name to have, but it's stuck in my mind forever. Also, the crying child is Henry's son. The FNAF 4 house is Henry Emily's house. I mean, what the heck, son? This is so far-fetched even MatPat don't not believe it. Midnight Motorist is a nightmare to all, and a great joy to my little theorist belly. How accurate can a theory that is completely wrong be? Accuracy, 2 out of 10. Despite not being a very accurate theory, the amount of moments in here that are iconic is impressive. Baby's needle balls, patent pending. Henry's last name being Emily. Very good stuff in here. Iconicity, 8 out of 10. First time I audibly laughed at theory in maybe 10 videos. The pigtail girl line just kills me.
This, in turn, led all us FNAF theorists to speculate wildly about the owner of this room. Anyone with 2 X chromosomes was up for debate. This pigtail girl And that was it.
Entertainment, 8 out of 10. This theory is not about how big it is, it's how you use it. Sorry. FNAF VR reboot.
Some weird inclusions, right? You got yourself Music Man over here. Why?
Music Man? Why? Who are you, dude? If I had my Gwimbly gun on me right now, I swear to God, give me back MatPat. Does anyone else get a little annoyed when the scan lines are cut in half? In real life, a scan line is 1 pixel thick, so there would never be half a scan line. I know it's just a PNG of some black bars over like a regular animation, but it makes me want to firebomb someone's house for like a second and a half. But I push that down into the pit of my soul for later. This theory is about old man consequences, I guess. Another on the couch theory about some speculative stuff. In between games, FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night being connected in the files is a really cool moment. It took 7.5 minutes to get to the intro of this theory. This very, very small, most likely result of copy and pasted code, will be what changes everything that we know about FNAF. This series gives me so much whiplash, man. It goes in so many different directions. This theory discusses that FNAF World confirmed that digital things can make changes to the real world, like how the clock minigames create the happiest day from FNAF World to Five Nights at Freddy's 3. It allows things to be weird, like tapping codes into the wall. I like to think that Willie A escaped the VR games by hijacking someone's mind, rather than manifesting himself from the game. Accuracy, 4 out of 10. Honestly, could be a skip. It's about outdated games, doesn't have any groundbreaking reveals like some higher iconic theories have, and is attempting to predict FNAF AR, which seriously gags some nuts. Like it doesn't even exist anymore, so I take it back. Okay, it's a skip. Skip this one. Iconicity, 3 out of 10. Entertainment, 5 out of 10. I enjoyed MatPat talking me through niche Easter eggs, more than the theory itself. Some wins and some losses. Episode 30, The Cult of Glitchtrap. The deconstruction of the Fredbear DLC is this theory. I'm coming up with less and less to talk about as these theories keep marching forward unimpeded by time. And I think that's because the lore has become so convoluted, and the games have become so spaced out and ethereal that a FNAF theory is just a recap of the story so far, and then a mention of a new detail that recontextualizes some stuff that we already know, be it right or wrong. It's less earth-shattering timelines, and is a lot of theory fluff that makes it hard to commentate. Either that or the brain rot has made it to my cerebral cortex, and I'm no longer able to comprehend this stuff. The introduction of Fall Fest, the villain of the next FNAF game, the conclusion of which is Vanessa, and William Afton infecting a bunch of people and starting a ring of child murderers in his name. Has any of this panned out? The next villain being Vanessa is spot on, even though they fumbled her like crazy in Security Breach. But the cult of William didn't go anywhere. Accuracy, 5 out of 10. This is honestly not a necessary watch as well, since it is another speculative theory in this drought that we have between FNAF VR and Security Breach. Iconicity, 4 out of 10. But love digging through the text files of the images to find the names of the next villain. And the glam rock animatronics. Entertainment, 7 out of 10.
Be fun.
The Secret Crimes of 1985. Before we knew what Security Breach was, before the AR game went down, and before the MatPat impreg story, the crimes of 1985 were talked about in a book that MatPat is recapping in this theory, because nobody's reading these books, and somebody has to catch us all up. I have to admit that I appreciate the service, because I am not reading those books, and God willing, I never will. MatPat recaps Into the Pit, where a little girl gets slowly remade into a robot, the Stitch Wraith, and the time-traveling ball pit. I like how he mentions that the crying child is possible to be a robot.
The crying child of FNAF 4, after getting bitten, could have been put back together in a much more literal way than any of us were expecting all those years ago.
Very nice foreshadowing for what's soon to come in Security Breach, and the most controversial FNAF theory. Into the Pit details the killings of 5 children in 1985 at the location that predates Five Nights at Freddy's 2. These kids are the ones that haunt the main animatronics, Golden Freddy and the puppet. Not necessarily rewriting history here, but adding some new information and filling in some gaps of the timeline, which is actually a nice return to form. Talking about this part of the timeline is my safe space. A good break from the future talk of FNAF VR. Another thing that this theory has is a prediction of when FNAF Security Breach is going to be set, and that is 1985. In that old pizzeria from what I mentioned before. Nope. Accuracy, 6 out of 10. For just recapping the books, which is harmless for accuracy, and getting Security Breach wrong. I I didn't remember much of this theory, and the secret crimes of 1985 are trivial at best, but it gets a couple points for having the crying child possibly be a robot in there. Iconicity, 3 out of 10. Not a lot of theorizing happening, more so just getting everyone up to speed on what these books are about. Entertainment, 4 out of 10.
Yay!
Episode 32, FNAF Faceless Puppet Master. Wow, kind of a banging intro. I'm loving it. This is a hyped up theory. The last one was a letdown, but I hope it was just necessary reading for the bombshell that this theory hopefully is. Scott Cawthon revealed in a Reddit post that he is actually not a part of the lore of the games, even though he made a character that is an indie game developer that made the Five Nights at Freddy's games and is represented by a picture of him. So this theory is that Oswald, a character in the Fazbear Fights Into the Pit book, is the rogue indie developer and not Scott. He is certified schizo and draws animals mixed with machines without even having the context that animals could be mixed with machines, and makes the games that the VR game said were fake. Technically, this has neither been confirmed nor denied. I don't have much to say about accuracy. 5 out of 10. Okay. Dude, this blows. I hate this theory. Like, the games being games in universe makes me mad. It invalidates so much brain power that people have been putting into this series. And I know it's a waste of time either way, but it brings it to a whole new level of waste of time. Trying to decipher whether details from the first games were just inspired by Oswald's decrepit boss or actually real is, just shoot me, dude. God. And MatPat hyped me up for this one, man. I thought it was going to be a game changer, but it is more of a tacked on piece of lore than anything. Not much more happened here than in my last theory. Entertainment, 3 out of 10. Moving to a more positive note, I love the FNAF 4 lore connection alarm and the sister location revelation alarm.
End quote. Oh, sorry, that's the lore connection alarm. It goes off anytime someone makes a passing reference to FNAF 4. Apologies, that's my other alarm. That's the sister location revelation alarm.
MatPat trying not to be an icon challenge. Impossible. Iconicity, 6 out of 10. FNAF the Grave Robber.
Use this one really over-the-top extreme comment as an example. Seeing stuff like this is a bummer, because I don't know if you can tell, but I really do like this franchise, and I see my role in it as a person just connecting ideas or presenting new threads to consider in a franchise that at this point is massive and really, really confusing.
I'm sorry, I take it back, okay? You didn't deserve that. Maybe I was too harsh. MatPat discusses how continuity and canonicity are different things, and that he gets that the games and the books are different continuities set under the same canon. Scott Cawthon also said on Reddit that the games are going to tell the future, and the books are going to tell the past. Everyone's getting psychic connections to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and I get it. All the kids want to go get killed at a pizza place. Isn't it weird that they call this little doll Plushtrap instead of like Golden Bonnie Chomper or something? I mean, getting trapped in the suit like became a thing because the murderer guy got trapped in the suit. There's a weird name for it. This also goes in the direction of Afton putting human brains in the animatronics, making Nightmare, Dreadbear, and Plushtrap real characters who operate with a human brain inside. Some more book recapping with a few questions raised about what could be possible in the story, but not much theory crafting going on here. Accuracy, 4 out of 10. This is the most memorable book in the series, I think. I remember thinking about Plushtrap's crazy design, which is really good, as well as body swapping with a toy and being thrown in the garbage, which is very scary as well. Gives this theory some more iconicity points and makes it one of the ones that, I mean, maybe you shouldn't skip. I mean, it's a nice story. Iconicity, 6 out of 10. The way MatPat delivers these stories is gripping. I enjoyed watching this breakdown a lot. Maybe, I mean, obviously way better than I would if I had to read the books. Entertainment, 7 out of 10.
Sixth night. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear.
Hey, we love Psychic Friend Fredbear. If you hate Psychic Friend Fredbear, then you don't know me, lose my number. Experimental theory crafting is the best theory crafting. Give me some crazy stuff to gnaw on and disagree or agree with. What's discussed here is that Psychic Friend Fredbear is one of the dolls that body swapped with that guy in that story, in that book story from earlier.
The official name of Psychic Friend Fredbear is Lonely Freddy. It's not quite as fun, but I guess it's easier for me to type, so...
The toys were made to help unwanted freak kids have people to play with. when society tosses them to the side, and also to survey the location and see what's going on. I think that this is a miss, but we knew it was gonna be. It is known that psychic friend Fredbear is a walkie-talkie system so William Afton can talk to his son. Nice thought experiment though. Accuracy 2 out of 10. Psychic friend Fredbear full version 1080p Vivo brings this video home on iconicity. Iconicity 8 out of 10. I'm biased, but I love it. Very nice adventure through explanations and evidence that I feel like we haven't gotten in a while. From the eye color to the toy Foxy missing an appendage, there is some real evidence here other than it happened in the book and could happen in the games as well, if you look at it from this perspective. Entertainment 7 out of 10. Oh, I have to be upfront with you for a second. Remember when I said that watching all of these videos was going to be a piece of cake? Well, I didn't lie. I could do this again tomorrow. But this turned into more work than I thought it was going to be editing-wise, so I figured that I'd cut the video in two and throw the first half out there now to see if people dig it. Cutting things in half. What a classic game theory thing to do. Next time we have the iconic Gregory is a robot theory. Who is the real Golden Freddy? The Mimic! And all of that help wanted to smegma to sift through in the ever-evolving FNAF world. You better subscribe to Gag Nutties because the next part is a couple of weeks away. And thank you for being such a big part of my life, Matthew Patrick. I've been watching since Could a Bullet Bill Kill You? I will always cherish every single hour I spent watching game theory, film theory, and GT Live throughout my childhood, and that was a lot of hours. Hey, and it's still ticking up today. The best to ever do it, dude. Thank you so much. Subscribe to Gag Nutties.